Most people's nervous system is either stuck in fight or flight or freeze. When that's the case, the body can't heal itself.
Mother is a nervous system of the household. What exactly is the difference in protecting your energy or clearing your energy?
Don't tell me you've never walked into your house. You can't see anybody, but you can feel something's not okay. That's energy. So picking up somebody else's anger, that anger feels worse than if it's your own anger. Mothers, the people that you need to protect your energy with the most are partners and children, because we give them the most and we want to fix everything. Everybody with anxiety, there is an issue with breath, so we want to breathe.
Welcome to Heal with Zainab, and today in this episode I have Janelle with me, who is trained in biodynamic craniosacral therapy through body intelligence. And she works with restoring balance and releasing tension with your nervous system. And we are going to talk about, in this episode, energy hygiene, how exactly craniosacral therapy works, and how do we protect our energy. And also, a very important topic is how mothers are the nervous system of the household, and it's so important for them to be emotionally and mentally in fully stable state. And she's going to help us talking about all these various topics. So please subscribe to this channel and don't forget to click on the bell notification. Thank you so much, Janelle, for joining us in here. And it's a very different thing when I heard that you do this. It's very specific to the nervous system, right? So my first question is about craniosacral therapy. Like this, if I'm not wrong, it's nervous system, your spine, and your sacral. These three, you work with them. How exactly it works, and how, I mean, they are interrelated physically, I know, but do you feel that emotionally also it's interrelated?
Very much so. So to go to the name, it's cranial for the cranium at the back of the head, sacrum for the sacral area, or sacral rather for the sacrum area. We work with what we call cerebral spinal fluid. So this is a beautiful, potent fluid that coats the brain and all down the spinal cord. So that's where the name came from. There's so much vitality in that. So when we're working with the system, we're reigniting the flow of that really kickstarts our health. And to answer your question, Zainab, it works on a physical level, an emotional level, and an energetic level as well.
Okay. So how, like, do you feel that most of our issues, which, I mean, we know it's somehow stress related. We are always on fight and flight mode. And if you really touch people, like this area is always very stiff, it's very tight. How do you work? Is it more of the emotional work, or is it more of the physical? You touch them and you release that stress out?
So there's loosely two schools of craniosacral therapy. We have the osteopaths that are doing cranial as part of their degree, and they do more of a mechanical, so it's more physical. So if somebody's gone to an osteopath and experienced craniosacral therapy, they then come to me, they have a very different experience. So with an osteopath, they will move you. There will be manipulation. If you come to me biodynamic, what we work with, we call it the breath of life. So I always like to draw a little diagram of a stick man and draw a river of energy running through that person to say, this is the breath of life. This is basically our life force. This is our health. Any traumas, any suppressed emotions, imagine boulders and sticks getting stuck in that river. We can't flow optimally. So with the work I'm doing, I'm connecting to the nervous system. As you rightly said, most people's nervous system is either stuck in fight or flight or freeze. When that's the case, the body can't heal itself. So by connecting to the nervous system to bring it back down to rest and digest, the body can heal itself.
And how do you exactly do that?
So we're trained, it's the first seminar that we learn all about something called state of balanced awareness. We call it SOBA. The best way I can explain soba is it's becoming one with the universe. It's expanding your energy in a way and opening up to all energies to allow the flow of health to flow through the body. Also, if I'm going into a session, I need to take that time in that place of state of balanced awareness to regulate my nervous system. If I go into a session stressed out, that person's nervous system is not going to come down to rest and digest.
Yeah.
So we really take a moment, we pause, we make sure our nervous system is in a good place. That's why it's important that we also receive sessions to make sure our nervous system is stable to be able to support other people.
Thank you for clarifying that, because this is one thing I've always been concerned about when it's like Reiki healers or anyone who do the energy work, that, you know, I'm exposing myself to them and they're touching me or something. And what if they are going through trauma? What if they are not well? So it's very important that even the therapists themselves, they have to really ground themselves and, you know, be in a relaxing mode before you're going and doing the session. Yeah, it's crucial, I guess.
It's actually, for me, it's negligible as whether we want to call them a healer, a therapist, a coach. I always say to people, psychologist, psychiatrist, doctor, whatever it might be, if somebody's working with you and they're not working on themselves, run. Really, because we're never healed. If somebody ever gets to the point they tell you they don't need to do any work on themselves, they've gone far too much into ego. How I try and explain to people, so especially people that are doing work like me, we're listening to a lot of people's problems. That's the reality. And almost imagine handprints. So at the end of the day, I have all the handprints from the people that I've worked on my energy field that day.
Oh, wow.
If I don't clear that, then the next day I'm coming in and I'm carrying that. So it's a big responsibility.
That is a big responsibility and a lot of hard work. A lot of hard work. I mean, I agree with that. And I remember, like, because I teach yoga, and people like it when you touch them. And I enjoy that, especially when, you know, when there is shavasana going on and you touch and they really feel good. Sometimes I massage this area, their toes and all. And one of my yoga teachers said that, no need to touch people. What are you doing? Because, you know, like, again, because of the energy thing, and don't do that. And I became very, very conscious about it. I mean, I still like to do it because I know that even I would enjoy it if a therapist would come and, you know, do that to me. But this is the most important thing. We will come in the end about this, that you have to tell people, my God, about energy hygiene, because we don't realize that even if you don't touch, I feel, right, the space carries an energy.
You do not need to touch somebody to pick up their energy. I was in the shop the other day, so it's very obvious for me now when I pick up a heavy energy from somebody, I feel it immediately and I can clear it. But 99% of the world don't even know that. You do not need to touch them, you know. So for you, exactly, we'll talk about how to protect your energy and clear your energy. And I would also say, you know, on my journey to become a craniosacral therapist, studied theta healing, studied Reiki. The Reiki I studied, we didn't put our hands on. It felt so uncomfortable for me because before doing Reiki, I was a Pilates teacher. So I was used to touch. It was very alien for me not to give somebody comfort. So I would say, if you feel intuitively, I want to put my hands on that person, do it. You know, there's nothing more comforting and healing than somebody giving you nice touch.
Yeah. And if you, I mean, I observed that a lot. It never happened before. But recently, last, I don't know, 6-7 years, something, I cannot go to malls. I am not touching anyone there. But in Dubai, even if you have to do grocery, I don't understand. You have to go to the mall. Even if to buy like small tissue, why do I have to go to the mall for that? But you have to go to the mall. And you enter, and I know I haven't done anything. Sometimes you just roam around. Maybe you just drink a coffee and you come back home. And I feel drained. I feel tired. I'm like, why am I so tired? And you see all the babies in the malls always crying. And I'm like, it's like,
they know better than anyone.
Because they are so sensitive to energies. And that's the worst place to bring really small babies there, you know, sometimes who are newborn or like first 6 months, because it's very, very dense energy there. So that is very, very rightly says. So where do you think that healing begins? Is it a nervous system, consciousness, or is it your body? Where does it start when you work on it?
I mean, I'm going to say nervous system because I feel consciousness requires a certain level of healing. Not everybody in the world is open to even having a conversation about consciousness. We have to be somewhat spiritual to go there, whereas everybody's aware of the nervous system. It's a bit like Dr. Joe Dispenza. I really resonate a lot with his work. And as much as he maybe is very spiritual, he comes at it from a very scientific perspective, so he can, you know, the message goes to a lot more people. I have seen time and time again with the work that I do with cranial, people having spiritual awakenings, people tapping into their intuition, people tapping into their psychic abilities, and I couldn't articulate what was happening. And then I understood something when I read something, and it basically said, for argument's sake, let's say we're 1% human and 99% other being. When we come into this human form, all of the traumas we experience, any suppressed emotions, imagine you're in a self-imposed prison. As we clear those, you're literally opening the channel for any other connections to come through. So for me, I would say nervous system, I would say safety in the body. That would be my number one.
Because I feel this is exactly what we all are seeking, and safety in the body. We don't feel safe. And this might be because of the childhood thing, childhood trauma. We never felt safe then. And now I think the whole environment is very unsafe anyways. So either physical or emotional, yeah. But do you feel that it's a one-time thing that we just get cranial therapy, or it's good to go, or we need to continue doing the sessions in order to be stable throughout?
So I generally prefer somebody who comes to try one session with me. It's really important that that person feels comfortable with me, because obviously if they're going to release any traumas, any emotions, they need to feel safe. So that's the first thing that I recommend. Then after the first session, we stay in contact. My general recommendation is we look at doing a series of 5 sessions. As much as possible, we keep it to weekly. The reason for that is, imagine going to the gym one time and expecting the body that you want. It doesn't work like that. So it's the same with the nervous system. When somebody's been, some people have been in fight or flight forever. They literally don't know what it feels like to be in rest and digest. So let's, for argument's sake, say in session 1, they come down into rest and digest. Maybe they maintain that for 2 hours. Then after session 2, it might be 2 days. And then what we hope to see after the 5 sessions, that their nervous system is much more resilient and they're able to hold on to that. The thing is, for me, part of what I'm trying to educate people is this work is part of your responsibility of taking care of yourself. It's energetic health. So it's not a case of do 5 sessions, goodbye, and I'll never see you again. Doesn't mean you have to work with me forever. But find a way to work with your energy, whether that's getting somebody to support you or you work on clearing your own energy.
This is exactly where I was coming, that there are most of the people who really think that spirituality and all these energy work and everything, it's very expensive because, you need to hire coaches, it's very fancy, only it's a rich people thing. And this is why I started this podcast, that no, actually this health, wellness, spirituality, even if you cannot afford it, you can be at home, you can still work on yourself. Do you feel that if somebody who cannot hire a coach or something, I, by being at home, can do it on myself?
Look, yes and no. So for me, I would always say I really feel passionately that healing should be done somewhat with support and community, because there's things that you can do for me I can't do for myself, and vice versa.
Agreed.
I think we've really lost...
Initially, you do need a coach to
and
guide you.
especially in the beginning. Because,
without guidance, it can be dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, even if I look at my Pilates background, if somebody's never done the Pilates moves, they don't know how that feels in their body. So to help somebody, and also guiding somebody into rest and digest with their nervous system, they can feel quite unsafe. I had a little boy on my table. He really didn't feel comfortable because he'd never been there before. So what I would say is, for somebody who was struggling financially and they couldn't have a coach, it's finding a way that works for you. You know, yoga practice, a Pilates video on YouTube, prayer, meditation, but always being mindful that you are doing it alone and you don't have that support network around you. Yeah.
But you mean to say that initially, yes, you need a coach, but you can work on yourself if you want to. Like, there are ways to do it.
Yeah, in an ideal world, you would start with a coach, but we don't live in an ideal world. So if somebody has not got the means to be able to work with somebody, so like, for example, if somebody didn't have the financial means, but they hear everybody saying, oh, we'll meditate. Not everybody can meditate. That can be really uncomfortable for some people. So maybe sit in the garden and read a book and just be present with the book, you know. So I would keep it really simple, finding ways to be present, finding ways to be in the body and breathe.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
This is exactly. That's what I say. First step is like, you want to work. Once you are seeking, you will not know where the teachers will appear from. It could be a YouTube thing, it could be somewhere, but if this is a priority for you, you will also have means. That's what I always say that.
Exactly.
Okay, so now coming to that you often say that mother is a nervous system of the household. Why do you think it is, and how important it is, the energetic and psychological and emotional and mental health of a mother in the house?
I mean, what I would say is we can see it in family units, that even if the father's close to the children, as a mother, it's almost like we have this invisible umbilical cord energetically always, you know.
Yes.
I've got one child in one part of Dubai today and another in another. I can feel them. If you ask their dad, he would be in the middle of doing something and just not that he
100%.
doesn't care or love them.
100%,
It's just different. So whether mum is working, whether mum stays at home, most households, the mum is spending most of the time with the children. When people are bringing their children to see me and let's say the child is suffering with anger or anxiety, it's not from a place of judgment, but I'll always ask, how are things at home? How are things with mum? How are things with dad? I'm asking the parents. And you'll tend to find that things are stemming from mum or dad. For me, when mum is more balanced, when she's more resilient with her nervous system, she's able to hold space for the whole family. If dad is stronger and mum's not doing so well, that's not going to impact the children in the same positive way.
That's 100%. And I can totally tell that because when my daughter was born, the first 6-7 years, first 5 years, I was not that maternal at that point of time. It took me a long time. Like, after she turned 5, then I feel I'm very, very maternal. Something switched within myself. My husband was very maternal towards her, very close. He would prefer to sit at home with her. I would be working and maybe just going out with my friends. He would be happy taking care. So, but I still was carrying that guilt. If I come back home, I'm like, oh my God, I didn't spend enough time with her. And, like that guilt was there. On the other hand, why I'm giving you this example to support exactly what you said, because I can relate to it. He went to US on his work trip for a month. And when he came back, though he was way more attached to her at that point of time, I said, did you have that guilt because you left her for 1 month? He said, no, I missed her. But what do you mean by guilt?
Exactly.
I'm like, you had no guilt because I go to work only for 8 hours and I just rushed home like, oh my God, she's waiting. And she's only 1 year old, but I know. And she does show me that if I just like 10 minutes late, my usual time of coming back home was 4 p.m. If I enter home 4:15, she doesn't even know how to look at the time. And she make me feel that I'm upset. She just look there that I'm upset with you. She never do that with my husband.
I know, it's very different.
Despite the bond was stronger and he never felt the guilt. I'm like, you were away for 1 month. So exactly what you said, that even if you're not maternal or whatever, there is some mother and children bond.
There's a connection.
That even if that umbilical cord is cut physically, but emotionally that cord is very, very much there.
100%.
And that's why mommy's guilt is very much there.
Yeah, very much. And even if my son is particularly sensitive, but if I sigh or if I'm thinking something, he can feel it, And I always say that to people when they come to see me for sessions. Things are not great in the marriage, but we don't fight in front of the children, or I'm stressed about losing my job, but I don't tell my kids. And I'm not saying go home and tell your children all your problems. Please don't think for 1 minute your children are not aware. So, if things are not okay with me, I'll say what I feel the kids can handle. I don't give them all my problems because I know they can feel it. And also, by giving them a little bit of information, mum's going through something, I'm a little bit worried, I'm doing this, you're also teaching them, you're giving them tools how to handle themselves as well, because they're so smart, these kids.
But okay, how to do it practically? No mother, I think, willingly or consciously there are mothers who do that, but okay, let's put it like that. You are being conscious and you're not telling your kids your problems. You always try to be like, no, I'm fine, I'm good. You don't want to tell. But kids, because of this connection, they pick on the vibrations, they pick on emotions. They can sense I'm not feeling okay. Then how to, and I cannot disconnect with that. What to do in that case?
I mean, this is which we will talk about. Clearing your energy is really important. So for example, if I've had heavier clients that day, I don't go in the house until I've cleared my energy, because if I don't, as soon as I walk in, the kids can feel it. They then take that into their energy field. But I don't agree with not telling kids anything, because for me, the sort of unknown, if you can feel mum's angry or mum's worried or mum's sad, but she's telling you everything's okay, that's actually more terrifying for a child versus, mum's got a small problem at work. I'm working on my boss about fixing it. The details are a bit boring for you. Everything's going to be okay. But just if you see me thinking a little bit, this is what's going on. And I think, the more you can sort of be a little bit more open with your children, the more comfortable they're going to feel.
And that trust would too.
Exactly.
Yes.
Saying to children, everything's okay, and they can feel it's not. They learn not to trust their intuition as well.
Yeah, and they would also feel that it's okay to hide.
And also exactly.
I feel like I always tell, like, and some people say that you don't have to tell this unnecessary thing. I'm like, no, if I'm not feeling okay, I'm like, I'm not feeling okay.
Yeah, so do I.
So they can feel me as a human, because we as children tend to put our parents as some superheroes.
Exactly.
They cannot be wrong. They cannot cry. They cannot feel pain. And you're right, because we are human, so it's more relatable for them that, okay, I can feel sad. I can feel stressed out at work. So, yeah. Okay. And talking about energies, what exactly is the difference in protecting your energy or clearing your energy?
So if you think about it, so I always draw for clients a little stick man and a bubble around it. So we now know scientifically that we have an energy field. And as I said at the beginning, going around all day, every day, all these handprints coming onto your energy field. Imagine after years of not clearing that out, the weight that's on you, your own traumas, your own suppressed emotions, the weight of everybody, especially as a mother. You're carrying, the husbands, the children's, the families. So if we haven't protected our energy, then our energy field becomes full. So we want to clear that out. If your energy is clear, then we want to protect that. So it's two different things. So we work on clearing it and then protecting it. So if you imagine a stick man in a bubble, that bubble goes black. That means the energy field is full of heavy energy. Then we want to clear that. So it's a clear bubble, but then we put protection around our bubble. And then you see heavy energy bouncing off of it. Does that make sense?
Okay. And how do you exactly make that bubble?
So what I encourage people to do is, everybody connects to a different higher power, let's say. So for some it could be God, for some it could be the universe, for some people it could be a loved one that's passed over, angels. I had a young girl who didn't believe in any of that, and I said to her, okay, what about the sun? Does that make sense to you to ask the sun for protection? So it doesn't have to be, God or anything like that. So for me, it is God. So I would connect to the energy of God. There's this thing of we have to witness something for it to be so. So to always visualize things happening to make it more solidified. So what I do, I tell them to connect to a color. So I like to see white. I see white coming from above we're talking about protecting. So white light coming from above all the way down to form a bubble around you, and keep seeing that going around and around you. You will feel when it's gone around you enough. That's it. It's so simple. But I had a client, when you're saying about the mall, so sensitive. I gave her the meditation to do. She ran in one day to see me and she said, I can go to the mall. I went to the mall for hours and nothing. I wasn't tired. I didn't need a sleep. I wasn't grumpy, because she can protect her energy. It's as simple as that. And then for clearing your energy, literally the other day I was in a shop. The young girl must have gone through something. I could feel that heaviness immediately. So what I do is I like to see that light coming from above, entering my crown chakra, and then I picture any heavy energy as a smoky grey, literally going through my energy field, through my body, through the soles of my feet, and going down into Mother Earth.
So just by visualizing it, it works. I mean, I know it works, but because I've done that and I know it works. But just to tell people, like, some people say like, okay, you're just in denial or what, you're just like, because how is it scientifically exactly happening that I'm just visualizing the light and it is actually helping?
I mean, I would say science can only answer so much. There's a lot of lectures where people who were atheists, for example, scientists, they then say science can only explain to here. There's all of this up here. So I would say to you, it's not science. It's literally,
just your own experience.
Energy.
Yeah.
And I would say it doesn't have to be divine. It doesn't have to be spiritual. It doesn't have to be religious, but it's energy. And I always say to people who are more black and white, and maybe they are atheists, you believe in energy. We are energy. Don't tell me you've never walked into your house. You can't see anybody, but you can feel something's not okay. That's energy. So it's the same thing. You don't have to connect to a higher power. Like I said to this girl, connect to the sun. See the beautiful yellow rays of the sun coming through your system. But it works. I can see when they're on the table. I can feel them becoming lighter. You can see the smile, the lightness coming in. It's powerful.
I always give this example to anyone who says that, oh, but I can't see, so it doesn't work or something. There's a theory called Higgs boson theory, and that theory is all about what we're talking about. And maybe that's what explains to people. It says that the cells in our body, or any atom or molecules, it will only start vibrating when you observe it. Otherwise, it's like the stagnant like that, right?
Quantum physics.
So it's the same thing. Sun has been there since forever. But I never look into the sun. I never felt the heat. So for me, it just exists. For me, I really started feeling the warmth of the sun the moment I'm like, wow, there's a sun. And I looked and I felt the warmth on my face. And I really felt that, wow, I'm feeling so good. And all that negative energy is going, and I am feeling better after that. I have no explanation to that, how it's happening, but why it never worked before, because I was not paying attention. So if I just connect this Higgs boson theory to this thing, it somehow works. Everything starts working when you pay attention to it. Like, I think there are so many people who have experienced it. The small example, I can give it to my daughter, or I think maybe it works with most of the babies. When they fall down and the parents, they rush and they're like, oh, what happened? And they kiss that wound, or they just put their hand. And suddenly the baby starts smiling and they're like, I'm okay. What did I do? Nothing.
Yeah.
It's just like, trying to console the baby.
No, it's bringing
but for
awareness.
that baby, it's like she has put the hand of energy, or I kissed that. She felt something,
Exactly.
which I don't know what is that. But maybe because she was so conscious to feel that, it really is working, and it does work, because I know that when my mother hugged me or just put some hand or something, it's not like my pain has gone, but there is some difference in the pain I felt. It has reduced, or something has happened. So you're right. There are many things which is unexplained, but it's more of like, do you want things to work? Just experience on yourself.
Exactly.
So you think the protection is that you visualize any white light, golden light, God's energy, angels, your deceased grandparent, father, whoever, that he's protecting you, and it is kind of clearing. And I don't know, but I think in many, many religions as well, there is like that. Even in Islam, there is, it's a thing called Hasar, that you just put some verses, you recite those verses, and you do this with your hand. So you are basically just protect.
So you're almost creating. Yeah, it's
you're
like zipping up
creating
your
that
aura.
thing.
Yeah.
By reciting those verses.
Exactly.
So I think even if you go back to connect with any religion, and I'm sure most of them have that, it's there.
Exactly.
It's there. Some things are unexplainable. Yeah. Yeah, so it works for sure. So that is what you call protecting yourself. So if you enter a mall or any place where you feel this energy is dense, you just visualize it and you do that.
100%. And even I always say to people, if you forget to protect your energy, once you start to become aware of it, you can feel it immediately. So I could be walking through Dubai Mall, feel like I've picked up heavy energy, and I just clear as I'm walking, and I feel myself getting lighter and lighter, and then I just put my bubble around me. That's it.
Okay. And what are the signs that you feel that you have a very dense energy?
Yeah, it's interesting for me, and when I've explained it to other people, they're able to pick it up themselves as well. It's almost like I can feel I need window wipers to clean my eyes. It's like I can't fully, it's almost like my eyes are foggy, and it just feels heavier. Sometimes it can be if you feel really, really angry, but it's not your anger. You've got no reason to be angry. You've got no reason to be grumpy, but suddenly it comes. Picking up somebody else's anger, that anger feels worse than if it's your own anger.
It's very common in teenagers now. Have you noticed? Even kids.
Yeah.
That's not their own anger. They're just feeling agitated and angry and whatnot. It's because maybe they're too sensitive to energies anyways. They're kids. And they're also picking up on other people's energies.
100%. And I mean, I think the way society's gone, everybody's disconnected. They're on devices, low vibrational, a lot of the things that we're watching as well. It's really impacting the community, and the ability to be present.
So what are the practical ways for a mother to clear her energy? Because she is a sponge of the house. She literally, anybody walking in the room, everything they feel, they went out on the mom. The husband is coming, it's on the wife. The kids are coming, it's on. And nowadays, okay, if she's not emotionally stable, she would, it will be conflict, it will be chaotic, the energy of the house. So what's her way of really clearing it out? Like, because she has to do it maybe every 2 hours or every 3 hours. Is it the same way of clearing?
Yeah, you can do it the same way. In the beginning, you have to do it a lot. Eventually, it's very rare that I have to consciously clear my energy now or protect my energy. It's very rare. So it's like a muscle memory. It just becomes automatic eventually. But actually, I'll often say to mothers that the people that you need to protect your energy with the most are partners and children, because we give them the most and we want to fix everything. So I think aside from clearing your energy and protecting your energy, it's understanding it's not your job to fix everything. So if your child, for example, maybe doesn't have as many friends as you had as a child, that's part of their journey. And it's there's a fine line between supporting your children on their journey and also really taking everything on your shoulders.
But those who are very emotionally connected and they can feel the pain of the child, and as a mother, I mean, this is the right way of seeing. It's a perspective. You have to really be an observer and see that, she can't do anything about it. This is the journey you have to go through. But still, you are affected because you are seeing your child in pain.
So what I would say is, with people who are more sensitive and who are empaths, when you protect your energy, you won't go into it in the same way. So if you imagine, if I'm sat here now, and if I wasn't protecting my energy and you're sat there telling me your problems, my energy would be coming to you to try and help you, to make you feel better. I always tell people when they come, mostly women that sit on the seat before we start the session, you're an out of control healer. You want to fix everybody, so you're just constantly leaking your energy. Oh, the person in the coffee shop's sad, without realizing it, you're giving them your energy, and you walk away and they're lighter and they're smiling. You need to go home and have a nap. So what I often do with women when they come to work with me is call their energy back to themselves. So again, quantum physics, you have to witness it for it to be so. Picture the colour of your soul. Let's, for example, say I always think my soul's purple, coming towards you, coming towards my children, all the people. And as I breathe, I'm just going to call those tendrils of my purple energy back to me, and then I'm going to seal it. And it's, again, it's so simple, but it is very powerful.
This is, you are saying that this is when you give them energy consciously. Or sometimes we give them unconsciously.
No, it's mostly
as well.
not consciously. It's mostly
we give energy all the time.
Yeah,
we give time. We give extra energy to everyone around us.
Watch yourself the next time your daughter has a problem, and just feel your body language, feel your energy, that logical mind trying to fix everything. It's not, I think one of the biggest things or lessons, there's been many of them, for me as a mother on my own healing journey, is my children are their own sovereign souls. It's not my job to make their journey the way I want it to be or the way I perceive it to be okay. So I often liken being a mother to, in the bowling alley, you've got those bumpers on the aisle so the ball doesn't fall down. That's how I see our role as a mother.
Our job is to support. For sure.
Bounce, if they're a little bit going off too much, bounce them back a little bit and ask them questions. Even as simple things as when my son has sugar because he's sensitive to it, and I'll ask him, how do you feel? How does it feel in your brain? How does it feel in your body? How is your mood now? Because our generation, we weren't educated about things like this. So it's trying to lead them, but without, that sort of tyrannical approach.
Yeah. Sorry. Okay. Can you explain this again? What you're saying is, so my energy is going out everywhere, right? Now I want to regain it back. So you're saying I come home, I close my eyes and I visualize that my soul color is supposed purple or white or whatever. And then that I'm getting that strands back from all the people. It's all happening in my visualization. And I sit there for a while and that's it.
Doesn't even need to be a while. It can happen like that. But also, to take it another level, is because their energy is also with you. So connecting to their energy and just seeing it going back to them. It doesn't have to be, people have this perception it has to be like movie perfect and we have to see everything. It's the combination of knowing, seeing, feeling, trusting that that's happening. So call your energy back and allow them to take their energy back. It's two.
That is very interesting actually, yeah, because unfortunately we are living in an era where we are very more disconnected with the nature anyways. Like in
True.
olden times, yes, people were not as tired as we are. They didn't have those mood swings as we had because somehow they had so many means to be grounded. Either they are living beside the river, or they are always farming, or touching their hands with the mud, or barefoot, or there's so many means to be connected with the nature. We are living like not in alignment with the nature anyways.
Exactly.
And on the top, our energy is leaking out anyways. So I mean, I'll definitely try to be consistent with this one, I think, and let's see if it works, I'm sure.
I think having a sort of ritual is good. That if you're at work, for example, as a mum, make a thing as soon as you park in your driveway, then you do it before you even go in the house. So you're going into the house in a lighter state.
That is, before you enter the house.
Before you
And what
enter.
about these physical part of energy? In a sense that in order to keep your house clean, organized, maybe minimalist, or also sage and Palo Santo, or some plants, which, other than just this energetic part, that this also adds on to some good energy in the house.
Definitely. So when I'm working with people, I work with a lady as well who does energetic cleansing of homes, of offices, because imagine you're light and then you go home, and maybe a lot of women, they are more conscious, they are doing more healing work than their partners. Maybe their husband's really in a toxic corporate job, low vibrational, coming home with a lot of anger, a lot of stress. So that's consistent everyday energetic clutter coming into the home, even if you're working on yourself. So it's like your river of energy's flowing and then you walk straight back into mud. So you could have somebody do energetic cleansing in your home. I will often suggest to my clients to put like an Om chanting or classical music or something sort of high vibrational on the TV. You can go around the rooms clapping your hands just to get stagnant energy to move. Again, with the Palo Santo, with the sage, with all of these things, it's being intentional and visualizing. So again, we want to picture that heavy energy leaving the house. So as well, it's important to open a window, open a door to allow that heavy energy to leave. I don't know if you've seen the funny meme, somebody going around with the sage stick with all the doors and windows closed, and it's saying the demons are just running around in your house,
It's like, okay,
we want to give them space to leave.
We have to exit, but where to go?
That's it. So plants definitely clean the energy, and clutter for sure. Keeping things that are broken, corners, drawers. And the thing is, the world we live in today, people get overwhelmed. So don't do what I used to do and empty one room and everything onto the bed and then think, oh my goodness, why did I do that? And it's exhausting to put it all back. Take a drawer. If you've got a little bit more time, take a cupboard, corner by corner, and then you just feel lighter and lighter.
I feel the best way is to start from suppose this table, and start moving anti-clockwise. After this drawer, second, third, but you're right. When you open up all of it and you're in a mess and you feel tired by just looking at it. So yeah, but I strongly feel, and many people can relate to it, that whenever you really declutter the house, it feels different. It feels very, very powerful. There is something, your shoulders feel like, like it's
A
gone.
weight's been lifted.
It's gone. And anyone who is living in a minimalist way, like very less clothes or less even decoration of the house, is just by done with the plants. It makes a massive, massive difference.
Definitely,
for sure.
I agree.
For sure, yeah. Okay, coming to the cervical part. So anyone who has this pain in cervical, a constant pain, which is a very, very common thing now, people who are working in corporate, for example. This area is always tight, it's always hurtful. Even if they are doing yoga or something, it keeps triggering back, it keeps coming back. What is this pattern that they feel in the pain? Coming back to your craniosacral therapy, and how does it help, and why do you think it keeps coming back despite they're doing exercises, yoga, whatever?
I mean, because I'm also a Pilates teacher, Joseph Pilates used to say, so he used to recommend you do Pilates 4 times a week in his studio. He called it a gymnasium then, and he would give you what he called a prescription, mat exercises to do at home. Because the thing is, if you look at how many hours a day, 8 hours a day minimum, 5 days a week, hunched over a laptop, then you do Pilates for 1 hour a week, how do you expect your body to be okay? So you're continually going back against the grain of what the habit your body's going into. So what I would always say is, even with what I do with cranial, there has to be something there that's going to strengthen the body. Now, with cranial, it will help physical pain, but it will 100% as well help emotional pain. But it would be negligible of me to say to somebody, cranial is going to solve all of this when you're sitting at a desk 60 hours a week and you're not exercising. So I think it's in Buddhism, we look at ourselves as having 4 rooms in our house. Whether you call it spiritual or energetic, the mental or emotional, and the physical. So we want to every day air each room out a little bit. So for me, it would be given exercises as well, which is not part of cranial, to rectify the pain as well.
And do you feel that vagus nerve healing plays a very, very important role, because it's here, right? And I do that usually even with my clients, and I feel that it is very, very powerful, because instantly you feel the difference. People who have this pain, or even who have generally any kind of stress, right? So there's exercises which you do, like pointing here, there, and even in vagus nerve, I remember this is one of the things in which in the end you protect the energy with your lips holding.
Okay, I haven't seen that.
You haven't seen.
No.
So in which, like this, if I'm sitting somewhere with full of people, and I don't want to absorb their energy somehow, so I really seal. I do this. There's another one, but this is the most easy, because otherwise people would be more conscious of what you're doing. So you just hold your lips and you do this. Like you literally seal this area. I think maybe any energetic hole of your body, maybe you're trying to protect it from this energy, because you don't want to be a part of it.
This I don't know, but the one thing I would say, and I was going to add this when we were talking about protecting your energy, is as much as I say put yourself in a bubble, what I also want to say is expand yourself. So when you're sort of saying that feeling of, I'm closing, I'm shutting down, I'm making myself smaller, as soon as you sort of put yourself in a position of being fearful or scared,
you will be overpowered. Yeah,
100%. So if you picture yourself, if we go back to walking in the mall, and you're calling on that light to come around you, but at the same time expand your energy. So I'll always say to people, if they've got toxic family and they're going home and very difficult parents, you'll find you kind of energetically cover and make yourself smaller. Make yourself bigger, not from an ego perspective, but from an energetic, I'm taking up space and I deserve to be here. So it doesn't, to me, really matter how you do it, but it's doing it from a place of confidence and not fear.
Definitely. Because I feel you will, negativity is definitely way more contagious. So if you are sitting in an environment where you are stuck and you cannot go anywhere, and you feel very, very negative, where the energy is very, very dense, then you are only picking on it because maybe that negative vibration is more, and then your positivity is less. So yeah, that makes sense. You have to just expand yourself and make your positivity bigger enough to.
And it's also understanding it's not good or bad, it's not better or worse. So sometimes your best friend could actually be carrying an awful lot of heavy energy, and you're aware when you spend time with her, you actually feel heavier. Once you learn how to clear and protect your energy, you won't take her energy on, but you then have you have a call to make. Do I want to spend as much time with her? Would I rather see her a little bit less? I'm actually feeling a little bit down and vulnerable at the moment. She's somebody I'm not going to see today, but not because I don't love her, but just because she's heavier than I need to be around at the moment. Again, not from a place of fear. It's just, it is what it is.
Because fear is the lowest vibration, what people really need to understand.
Exactly.
And this is the entire game of fear and faith, which is in every religion, in every culture as well. Maybe the different vocabulary has been used, but it's always about the faith is here, which is now we're saying trust the process, or trust the flow, trust God's energy, trust your own light, if you want to name that. And fear is the lowest vibration. So if you're in the lowest vibration, the kind of entities you are attracting in your life, not only humans as well, but also entities, it's all very, very low vibrational energy. And it's very, very difficult to actually raise yourself from there, especially when you are in constant state of fear. And now I feel that it is more alarming, because in olden time we had just a fear of maybe being attacked, by a wild animal, or fear
Yeah.
of being attacked by another tribe, or some sword, or maybe animals. Now I feel human mind is so complicated that we have a fear of being judged.
Yeah.
Fear of being, I don't know, oh, what if this person would say this? Fear of being misunderstood. There are so many fears, and those
yeah.
fears are so genuine
True.
that it's equivalent to the fear of the snake biting me, or fear, like, right? So I feel and we have self-created it. That is, I don't know, how do you see that? Like this kind of fears, which nowadays young generation is having.
They're dealing with
I mean,
that.
we also millennials are also having a lot of fears, and we are the ones who raised them actually. But I still feel our fears had a very different intensity, right? Maybe we had the fear of displeasing parents. We were the generation, I always say, who were like a people pleaser.
True, very much.
People pleaser, like
100%.
we had to please parents, we had to please friends, we had to please
Teachers.
our family, teachers, exactly. So, but I don't know, but this generation, I still feel still have way more fears. Maybe we have given them our fears plus their own fears as well. How to deal with that from an energetic point of view, and from the kind of body intelligence work that you are doing, how to address those fears?
So when somebody comes to work with me and they'll say, I just want to stop shouting at my kids, or I just want to stop caring so much about my mother-in-law's nasty comments. And I always want to say to them, if you work with me, you won't need to try. It will just happen. So I started working with a woman. She came to me, toxic boss, overwhelm, burnout, really quite high anxiety. And I think by session 3, she walked in, and energetically, it felt like her hair was standing on end. And I said, what's happened? She said, I think I'm broken. I said, what on earth's happened? She said, I don't care about anything anymore. And I said, well, tell me, it was only last week I saw you. What's happened in that week? Our husband wasn't triggering her anymore. Her boss had been really nasty. She didn't laugh in his face, but inwardly she realised he was being a child. She didn't take it personally. As you regulate your nervous system, all of these things fall away. So now a big thing I'm educating my clients and anybody that wants to listen to me is everybody has a dysregulated state. So for you, it might be road rage. It might be shouting at your husband. It might be insomnia. For me, it's overthinking. It's over-worrying, somewhat catastrophizing. I know if I start shouting at my kids more, I know if I start getting more sensitive to noise, I'm starting to go into that, they're my red flags for my nervous system being dysregulated. So that's when I know I need to go do a session of craniosacral therapy. So everybody has that. So once the nervous system becomes safer in rest and digest, you'll feel all of these things will just start to get quieter and quieter.
So basically, you have to notice that what is your emotional dysregulation.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I totally agree, we all have that. I might be emotionally stable, maybe, I don't know, in one thing, but the other person is not.
Exactly.
But I have my own emotional dysregulation
Exactly.
points that we need to really be concerned of. And those symptoms we need to observe, what you're saying. That what are those symptoms, and based on that, we need to take some sort of sessions and therapy regarding that, yeah.
So what I do is I notice with Pilates that if somebody came for a session and they were in so much pain with their back they couldn't touch their toes, if I saw them the next week, if that back pain completely disappeared, they forgot about it. If the back pain was 1% worse, it's the first thing they would tell me. So I'm thinking, are we just really ungrateful? Do we like to complain? Are we negative? But it's the way our brain's wired for survival. So now what I do when somebody does a series of 5 sessions, based on what we've discussed in the first session, we track 5 to 7 symptoms and we score them out of 10. So 10 means it's the worst. So anxiety, it's a 50 out of 10. So then every week it gets less, and sometimes it goes up. Healing is definitely not linear, but also with women with their cycle. Well, the anxiety went from a 10 out of 10 to an 8 to a 5, and now it's gone to a 15 out of 10. But I'm ovulating. So we then start to understand, or I had a bottle of wine at the weekend, or I didn't sleep well. And then we start to understand, well, was it worth the wine? Or,
And I think we women need to be more observant, because based on our cycle, everything is synced with the cycle. We really, in the start of the month, oh, we are feeling amazing, great. And the mid-month, we are tired. Then we are worse. Then we pick up on. So we are actually on the roller coaster
Very
every
much so,
month.
yeah.
We really cannot afford. We cannot afford to just ignore our health.
No, definitely not.
Because, like you said, it's so beautiful that we are the nervous system of the household.
Yeah.
And if we want everything, and I know it's too much burden, and now there's a lot of talk like, okay, why women has to bear the burden? It's also man. Yes, man does play an important role, but we are powerful when it comes to the household. Yes, we do have more responsibility because I feel we have more responsibility because we are emotionally and mentally stronger.
And I would always say I've
feel.
got friends and clients who are not mothers, but for me, all women are mothers. We're all nurturers. We all give.
Yeah.
So even if
Yeah.
you don't have a family, you're giving to the person in the coffee shop, you're giving to the person in the
Yes,
supermarket, you're
yes.
giving to your team at work. So it's always understanding to take care of yourself.
We cannot run away from this responsibility.
No.
Even if you are not a mother in literal sense, you are not
Exactly.
married, you will notice that maternal behavior in small things.
Yeah.
Oh, let me make a coffee for you. Let me do that. And we feel so happy when we do that. That's a very given thing that comes within us, right?
True.
Okay, so before I conclude, I want to ask you top 3 health habits. It could be physical, spiritual, mental, or emotional, energetical, that you feel that everybody should incorporate in their life. And if you do these top 3 things, you're good to go. Yeah.
Top 3. So for me, it's really important coming into the body. So with a lot of the clients I work with, whether we are neurodivergent or spiritual or anxious, there's a feeling you're not quite in the body. So a very simple one for me would be, because everybody sleeps at some point, lying on your bed at night, just doing a little body scan, feeling the weight of your head on the pillow, connecting to your spine, feeling your back. So really being in the body. Most people, when they're anxious, they're not in their body. Another thing is to breathe. So I'll often say to clients, put a post-it note or put something, because again, everybody with anxiety, there is an issue with breath, so we want to breathe. And then for me, it's always, I'm because I'm so visual, I always draw a circle and say, we have a limited amount of energy, and then I'll draw arrows going out, partner, children, boss, house, etc., etc., and it's going out and out and out. Because we talk a lot about filling our own cup, but what does that really mean? But what gives you energy back? So I tend to like to encourage people not to have that relying on anybody else. Shouldn't be your children, because your children also take a lot. They might give, but they take. So it could be waking up 20 minutes early, having your coffee in silence. It could be going for a walk with the dog with a podcast on. So for everybody to have a list of things that they can do, and it doesn't have to be every day, but in a week. You can't just rectify your sleep in one night. You have to look at that sleep bank, to look at self-care like that. Every week, how much have I done for myself to give energy back into me?
And this is exactly what I feel self-love or self-care is.
Yeah.
It's prioritizing your health, because you know that, without your energy being at least optimum level to function, to operate the coming week or the coming day, you cannot do it. If
Exactly.
I know when I'm feeling 5% of the battery, I can sense my entire household, my daughter, my husband. And sometimes it's very upsetting as well, that I feel like, are you guys dependent on my energy? Like, just because once a month I feel sad, why do you all have to be like also sad? Oh, now, because like, why can't you cheer me up? Like, why it's always me,
Well, again, mother's the nervous system,
Yeah.
the center of the nervous system. But in that moment, the more you protect your energy and clear your energy is also not going to negatively impact them. So in that moment, your daughter's trying to heal you, your husband's trying to heal you. So for you to close your energy, not in an aggressive way, but it's not their responsibility. And actually, sometimes it feels good to feel sad. It feels good to be angry. So that's a big thing I always want to teach clients, especially kids, if they're coming because they've got anger issues. If you ever come to me and tell me you never feel angry, I'm going to be worried about you. So enjoy your moments when you want to be sad. Enjoy your moments. We just don't want it to linger long term. But what I would say to you in those moments is call your energy back, send their energy back, bubble yourself. And I say to my kids, I'm feeling really sad today, but it's not your job to fix it. And even people who have got babies, you don't need to say it, but energetically, I am not your responsibility. we naively think that we're responsible for our children. Our children think they're responsible for us.
Yes, yeah. And that's when we feel burdened
Exactly.
and drained. Though actually we are here just to support and guide each other. Nobody can take anyone's responsibility in any way.
At all.
Yeah, completely. It's our own soul work that we needs to do it by ourselves. But anyways, it was a lovely, lovely conversation. Thank you so much for coming. And like always, time just passed by. It's such an interesting topic to discuss, and I know we can go on and on that. But I have to conclude. So thank you so
Thank
much.
you for
Thank you
having me,
for coming
Zainab.
all the way
Thank
here.
you.
Thank you.